How do we figure out what are the big important blocks to clear to make a shift in someone's life? And so this is an exercise you guys are welcome to do today. If you have something else you want to work on, as always, work on anything you like. But I have found this to be a really valuable exercise. And so here's how it goes. I want you to make a list of the things you always do. So that's kind of a big topic. So perhaps an easier way to break that down into more manageable chunks is pick a certain topic or category, such as what are the things I always do when I get up in the morning? What are the things I always do when I'm doing an energy healing session? What are the things I always do when I'm going to the grocery store? So that usually makes it a lot easier to think about it. And then make a list of the things. You know, three is fine, five is fine, 10's great. And pick one of them. One of these things you always do and ask yourself, why do you always do this? Or if you're working with a partner, ask your partner, why do you always do this? And then the second question, which is the really where the money is, what happens if you don't? And then take that and dig on it. One of the obvious things to apply is the what's the worst thing that would happen game. So, for example, maybe before you do energy healing, you always meditate for 5 minutes. Not a bad idea, right? But ask yourself, why do you always do this? What happens if you don't? The reason being, this is a way of what you might call illuminating the shadow. Because the things you always do, there's a reason you always do them. There's something that we judge bad or wrong or improper that we think is going to result from it. And that's the point of the digging. Just like, again, that's why we do the what's the worst thing that would happen game. So, as an example, maybe you always take a shower after you get up in the morning. Okay. Again, not a bad idea, right? Why do you do that? What happens if you don't? Again, I'm just making up some answers on the fly here. Maybe you do it because you don't feel alert. Okay. Then you might ask, what's the worst thing that would happen if you don't feel alert? Are you worried you're going to cause an accident? Are you worried you might lose your job? Again, could be anything. And the point is to dig in, because again, there's a reason you always do these things. This is a way of illuminating the shadow. The shadow is that part of you, the things you've judged as wrong or bad as not me, things you don't ever want to have to experience or touch or work with. And what Carl Wolf taught was that for most people, 90% plus of your power is locked up in your shadow. And so it's no surprise that if you're able to unleash that and reintegrate these parts of your shadow, you can become a lot more powerful, make more money, be a better person, accomplish more, etc. Does that make sense? And
Mhm.
so for when you guys have the practice time today, again, if you have some topic you really want to work on anything you like. But whether it's today or a trade on your own or another time, if you're ever wondering, hey, I'm not really sure what to do today, this is a really good one. And it's funny that when you make the list, again, I'd say try to put at least three things on it. If you get to 10, that's probably more than enough. But just pick one at a time to dig on. And it's funny how typically the ones that you think are superficial or meaningless, those are often the ones that run really deep. So, maybe something like, well, I always take a shower when I get up in the morning. That seems kind of superficial. You might want to dig into it. You might find something deep.